response. Although, hindi ko alam kung kasama ba yun sa ano nila, sa work nila na kahit agency, kailangan nilang mag-respond.
2025 is yours.
Thank you.
Congratulations, sir.
Could you please read this one, sir?
Approve na po.
Sir, approve ka na. Today lang yan, sir. Malupit. Kanina kumaga
Speechless po kasi ako ngayon eh. Ano po pala, thank you po. Maraming pong salamat. Hindi na ako nakapag-thank you sa inyo, sir. At sa sir, sa buong team ng Straightforward po. Maraming salamat po.
You're most welcome, sir.
Ano
Ayun,
po?
sir.
Ang laki ng tulong niyo po. Tsaka worth it po yung bayad. Especially po sa fan research po, mababa po yung yung bayad sa inyo compared sa iba, pero yung quality ng po at gandang lahat po sulit po.
How are you feeling today?
Kinakabahan always. Hindi biro yung mag-aantay kung ano yung i-grant nila, diba? Kung ano yung magiging resulta.
I want you to read the document, ma'am.
Application number 2431, applicant Maria Nerissa Kaong, date of birth, student visa approved in principle. We are pleased to tell you that your application for a student visa pathway has been approved in principle. These requirements are due on the 29 April 2025. Bayad na tayo?
in short, ma'am, na-approve na po yung visa niyo.
Thank you.
Congrats, ma'am Nerissa.
Hi, I am Maria Nerissa Kaong. I am going to take Bachelor of Nursing at UPUL in New Zealand, and I am really very happy and I am very satisfied with the support of Ivan. Kahit makulit ako, he's there. Sinasagot niya agad. Diba? Very responsive si Ivan. And overall experience talaga, ang pleasant and very supportive ang company ninyo. I'm so happy kasi yung sa client success talaga. So, natuwa naman ako na na-assign ako kay Ivan kasi alam ko makulit ako. But he's there. Thank you so much for the success. Scroll lang talaga ako sa Facebook. Nakita ko yung sa Straightforward. Nag-inquire lang din ako. Not much hope o hindi ko naman iniisip na ito na talaga yun or ano. Na-explore ko lang. Buti naman si Casey naman yung napunta sa akin, Bisaya din, very supportive. So, pwede pa yan ate, okay na siya. So, nag-istorya moto, sa Facebook rin actually, unintentional pa din na maghanap. Nung in-explore ko siya, sabi kasi, very, si Casey yung ang bilis, mag-action, tapos meet kami kaagad, tapos tinanong niya kaagad yung eligibility ko, pwede ba? Tapos nabigyan niya na ako kaagad ng ideas, ganoon. Hindi na ako tumingin or nagtanong sa iba pa na education providers kung magkano or kamusta. Dahil talaga yung sa support na bigay ni Casey. Kasi parang iisip ko, anytime maalagaan ako nito. Yung sa pera, may mura or mas mura or hindi ko na lang inisip. Ang yung probability na mabigyan ako dahil sa support na ni Casey, tsaka yung sa honest siya na ganito, ganyan. Alam mo yung umpisa namin ni Casey, ang dami naming hinanap na school, maraming na-apply. Kasi napansin mo, syempre ako parang sa edad. So parang, makulit talaga ako. Kasi inahabol ko yung sa age ko ba na after ng pasok, meron pa akong makapagtrabaho na pwede. Tapos after nun, mag-qualify pa ako ng resident visa, ganoon.
Founder and General Manager of Straightforward Education. And together with us,
Hi, this is Anosh. I'm a licensed immigration advisor. I'm here from New Zealand.
hi everyone, welcome to Straightforward Education Podcast. And for today's podcast, we have invited industry experts that will going to talk about opportunities in studying, working, and immigrating in New Zealand. So before anything else, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Jay. I am the founder and general manager of Straightforward Education. And together with us,
Hi, this is Anosh. I'm a licensed immigration advisor. I'm here from New Zealand. So I'm here to introduce a bit more about New Zealand migration and study. Over to you, Ray.
Hi, my name is Ray. I'm the regional director for Southeast Asia at Adventus. We cover more than 1,500 institutions across 30 destinations. So I'm here to share my perspective on how New Zealand would compare to these different study destinations.
now this is a very interesting podcast because we will going to talk about a lot of things, especially opportunities for New Zealand, immigration, what are the most common misconceptions, confusions, and other things, no, for them to get prepared if in case they would like to go for a pathway for residency. So without further ado, we're going to start our questions to our industry experts. So let me start with our migration expert here, Sir Anosh. What do you think are the most common misconception in moving or studying and moving in New Zealand?
See, the first thing is people think whatever an agent says is true, right? So it's the first misconception that the people say, oh, if you come to New Zealand, you get residence for free. Right? It's not a buy one get one free offer. New Zealand is more kind of earning the resident than getting the residence. So make sure you choose the right program which is actually matching your profile. So a course which your agent is going to take you is not going to lead to residence, but whatever skills you have is going to lead to residence. For example, if you're a nurse, or if you're an engineer, if you are let's say an electrician, you need to choose a program which falls in green list, right? So green list is actually immediate residence occupation list, which Immigration New Zealand has released a couple of years ago. So if you are falling under the particular green list, then take a course related to the green list,
Right.
which leads to a direct residence option. At Straightforward Education, what we usually do is I usually train entire team members directly from New Zealand. Also, I come and go to Philippines every 2-3 months. So we train them on a daily basis. So they are very much aware of what is the best course to be taken, how to analyze a profile, how to give the best institution, and how to lead you to a proper guidance into the New Zealand skilled migrant residence pathway.
For Adventus, they are basically our top partner in providing support in regards to admission. So, sorry, since you are our industry expert for multiple destinations like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and some other countries, why do you think New Zealand is becoming a top destination for Filipinos?
Right. It's a really good question, Jay. Actually, if we look at the countries which we cover at Adventus, the volumes that we get for enrollments is also quite similar to how the market is actually recruiting for these countries. And if we look at the data for Canada and Australia, these two countries all recruited more than 20,000 Filipino international students in a single year back in 2022-2023. This year the numbers have dropped, but these two remain the strongest study option for Filipino aspiring international students. But we're seeing the fastest growing destination to be New Zealand right now. While this year I've still received a lot more applications for Canada and Australia. Surprisingly, this July and September, New Zealand has already overtaken those two destinations in our platform. So we're already seeing the growth coming in, and we really see very, very good approval rates as well for New Zealand. We see them having really good policies as well for international students. And in fact, I think one thing unique that the New Zealand immigration system has that other countries don't have is they won't just refuse you without a reason. They actually have to provide they give you a chance to explain before you get any rejection, and you have a chance to justify yourself as well.
All right, perfect. Well, Anosh, since you are the migration expert here, could you tell us about how does the New Zealand migration pathways evolve throughout the years?
See, what happens with immigration New Zealanders, they always test the market. Also, they always understand what the country requires at the moment, right? So that's how immigration New Zealand works. For example, now they introduced 2 new residence pathways. there's only one reason why immigration has keep on introducing new pathways into the country, just because they want to gain more skills in that particular area. For example, last week they have introduced a skilled experience migrant pathway. Also, they have introduced trades and technicians residence pathway. So both these pathways are different in terms of getting the right skills into New Zealand. Also, we have existing other two pathways, which is skilled migrant category, which is a 6-point system. Also, straight to residence and work to residence pathway, which I usually tag them into a one category. Then we have a short-term category, which is a care workforce sector agreement pathway for healthcare workers. So it's more kind of what the country wants, and also how much skills are they lacking in the country. So make sure you take the right course or go into the right direction to gain residence. That's all it takes to win in New Zealand.
Right. Well, speaking of migration again, well, if there will be some Filipinos who will be planning to study and move to New Zealand in 2026, what is the one piece of advice you can give to them?
One piece of advice is always research by yourself. Don't just blindly listen to the agent, right? So when it comes to I'm not trying to bring any agents here, but I have come across a lot of students who have told me I took the course just because the agent told me this is the best, right? So I always ask them, do you think it's the best? If you don't think it's the best, don't take it, right?
Correct.
So because the agent only knows your profile by whatever you have written in your CV, right? But your interest, your skills is something which the agent is unaware. Always refer to the agent, plus you need to do your own research. Also test your skills before you choose the right course, right? So I think if you are coming into straightforward education, they will usually do an eligibility test,
Right.
just to understand how your profile is going to match the green list or the residence pathway courses. And once you finish that eligibility test, you will also understand if you have the right skills, if you have the right mindset to take the course. So that's a secret mantra for getting into New Zealand.
Perfect.
Well,
Well,
if I may add to that
Yes,
as well, I think another mistake that I'd like to highlight here is that aside from taking wrong advice from other people, I know many of you might rely on AI as well for advice, and
Yeah.
we've tried doing that as well. We tried seeing how they would assess students, and to be honest, immigration also regularly changes. So sometimes AI might get their information from somewhere. It could have been a policy 5-6 years ago that's not relevant anymore. So that's also very important. It might give you, it's a make me a good tool for researching, but always check all of the sources and make sure every information you get is up to date.
That's a very good point.
Right.
Asking ChatGPT.
Yeah, what course is good for me?
What course can I take? Oh, asking ChatGPT.
What's in demand now?
Can I get residence?
Yeah. It's
But
very different.
One thing I can tell you, ChatGPT will never disappoint you. It's always going to be a yes. Anything which you ask,
Yeah.
it's going to be a yes.
He's gonna tell you,
Yeah.
that's a good question, and coming from a good perspective.
that's the importance of having an immigration expert, right?
Yeah.
To make sure that you will be well guided in regards to the immigration process, because one mistake could cost them millions.
Yeah.
They cost their time, and a lot of things happen in the past. And we here at Straightforward Education would like to make sure that our students are properly guided in choosing the right path. And if they are already in New Zealand, Anosh here will going to make sure that our student will not only go into work after studies, but also make it worthwhile and transition to become a permanent resident and citizen in the future. Okay. Well, sorry. Speaking of the programs that you have mentioned earlier, what are the programs that are now taking in Adventus?
Surprisingly, I know looking at that data, most of the enrollments from the Philippines would mostly go for private training establishments and institutes and polytechnics as well. But surprisingly for us, we're seeing a lot of growth from our university partners. That's because they do have a lot of programs to offer to international students, and we do have some partners that considers Filipinos as an English-speaking country and accepts our medium of instruction letter in lieu of IELTS. So that sort of flexibility in the requirement that some universities give actually gave some of our partners an advantage when it comes to recruiting Filipino international students. And even the polytechnics, actually, many students might not be aware, but many polytechnics have their own English language courses. So if ever a student might not really want to take an IELTS, or they feel like they won't get the scores that they need, these schools can always bundle a language course program in so that they can gain a pathway to their main program. And some of them offer it for free, and that's something that many students, I believe, are not aware of right now.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, AUT is offering waive IELTS for some qualified applicants.
Except for healthcare or education programs.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's leading to registration.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of programs, Anosh, what do you think are the thriving industries right now in New Zealand?
See, at the moment, if you take any courses which is falling under engineering, it's going to definitely lead to a proper settlement. For example, if you're studying electrical engineering, mechanical or civil, all the mighty IT. So information technology is currently on the growth. It's one of the growth sectors in New Zealand where there is a steady growth. If you can see over the years with the AI and with the new technology coming into the action, IT graduates is going to find a lot of jobs in New Zealand. Also, Microsoft and a lot of new companies are building their database, data centers in New Zealand. So investing a lot of money into New Zealand. Engineering is the top one. Number two will be healthcare courses, which let's say nursing, being a dentist, the physiotherapy. So these are all registration required courses, which leads directly straight to residence. Then number three will be basically courses which are leading into, let's say, being a chef in New Zealand or being a hotel management kind of, because it's a tourist country at the end of the day. So make sure you choose the right industry related to your profile. That's very important. But my top picks will be either healthcare or engineering at the moment.
Okay. Well, speaking of investment, do you think it's feasible for international students to recuperate their investment if they would be paying tuition fees, like their cost of living? So how do you think would they be able to recuperate the investment that they will use for studying in New Zealand?
See, I'm going to give a very honest answer, right?
Yeah, it's okay. This podcast basically is an honest podcast.
Okay, so it depends on the person. If you're someone who is going to go for party, drink, and then sleep over the weekend, you're not going to make anything.
Right.
But if you are someone who is going to work for 25 hours a week, spend your time for working part-time and also gain some experience, real life experience in New Zealand, well, you can make a lot of money in New Zealand, right? So for example, 30 hours is a standard full-time in New Zealand. From 3rd of November 2025, a student can work 25 hours a week.
Correct.
It's 25 hours short of full-time, right?
Mhm.
So imagine you're getting $24 an hour. How much money you can make in 25 hours? That's a lot of money.
Correct.
Also, they can do full-time while they are on the annual leave, on the public holidays or on the scheduled breaks. So also once they finish the course, for example, if you're coming into New Zealand for masters, so you can take a partner and child along with you. Your partner can work full-time. So while you study, your partner will be making money on the other side. Also, once you finish the course, you get 3-year post-study work visa, where you can also make money on that 3 years, also gain residence.
Right.
So if you can't really make money out of all of these options, you probably won't survive anyway.
Correct. Well, sorry, I'd like to ask, since you are the industry expert about studying abroad, right? What do you think international students should consider in choosing the schools for them to study that?
Right, it's a really good question. So, first of all, I know there's many study destinations right now. You might be thinking, where should you study? And this really comes where it comes into tailor fitting it to each student, depending on your goals, what you want to achieve. If there's a career that you have in mind already, then might as well go for careers that will lead you to those registration. If you actually want to be a nurse as well in New Zealand, then why not go to schools that will allow you to become a nurse there? If you want to be an engineer there, go to schools that will let you become an engineer there, not just studying for the purpose of getting into the country, but rather using it to help you get into the career that you want to have in that country. And it's the same for any study destination. And just going back to that investment, it's really going to be an investment on your part, and not only it's not just for you to make your money back, but it's actually really investing on the skill set that you would be having once you arrive there. And I know many of the students would ask this as well. They'll always ask, but we just want to work. Why do we even have to study?
Correct.
And Anosh actually and I were speaking about this earlier, and he brought up a good point. Do you have skilled employment is the first question. if you have skilled employment, then go ahead, try applying for some jobs. If you get a job offer that's from an accredited employer and you need someone to help you process, then Anosh is here to help you with that. And also, of course, Jay from Straightforward. And if you can't find any jobs, then I think that's when you really can consider studying to upskill and make yourself more employable and give yourself a chance to actually meet these employers in New Zealand. And anyways, you already have a chance to work there while you're studying. It's going to be 25 hours now, very soon. So you can definitely use that to your advantage to get some New Zealand work experience as well.
Okay, following up on that question, Sir Ray, Sir Anosh, on the immigration standpoint, what do you think are the bottlenecks on why Filipinos can't go straight working directly to New Zealand?
See, when it's not just Filipinos, any skilled employees can go and work in New Zealand directly. There's nothing stopping you, right? There is a visa option called accredited employer work visa,
Correct.
where an employer can take you into New Zealand and you can work for the employer full time and also apply for residence without even study. However, every country has their own requirement for a particular skill. For example, a nurse who is working in Philippines, even though she's the best nurse in the world, she can't work in New Zealand, right? Just because she's not registered, right? So how to gain registration in New Zealand? So that's a different question, right? For example, physiotherapist in Philippines, even if she's the best physiotherapist in Philippines, will she get employment in New Zealand? No, because she's not registered, right? So there are occupations in New Zealand which requires a specific skill set,
Correct.
right? So it is not just being not good at work. It's more about you gaining the right skills, which is going to attract New Zealand employers, right? So sometimes it's a study which is going to lead you into that position.
Correct.
You can negotiate with the employer. I'm the best. Can I get a job?
Okay.
Right? Rather than staying in the Philippines and waving the flag doesn't really help you at all. But maybe getting a study program which upskill yourself can lead to a proper employment. But there are a lot of Filipinos also coming into New Zealand directly on a work visa. For example, let's say IT engineers.
Right.
Philippines produces the best IT engineers in the world. I know that because I have some of my good friends who are IT engineers. They're from Philippines, especially from Manila. So, but they got a job directly. But you need to be the best of the best, right? But if you're not in your position to make such a claim, take a course, be the best of the best. And then you are basically in the market, in the country, competing with the rest of the people rather than in Philippines, right?
Correct.
So it's more easier to get an employment while you are in New Zealand because there is a chance for the employer to trial you for 90 days and see if you're good at it, they'll give you a proper employment job done, right?
Right.
But from here, it's cost them a lot of money to bring you into New Zealand, your flights, your visas, your token, they need to get accreditation. So there's much investment for an employer for an unknown person.
Yeah.
For an unknown person, it's very important. They haven't seen you, they don't know how good you are. Is someone going to take that risk?
Yes.
Maybe some of them will be, but if you're working for
That's right.
Ernst & Young or if you're working for Microsoft, you have a profile, they will take the risk. But if you're working for a small little company here which no one knows, take a course please. Because you're basically testing your luck.
Correct. I think this is something very really relating to the Philippine market because not all graduates in the Philippines are skilled, right? I think the beauty of having studying in New Zealand is that it will going to open up immigration pathways.
100%.
Right? Like for example, under the skilled migrant category, they will going to get eligible points, and then through that eligible points, they can now transition to residency. Can you enlighten us with that one?
See, immigration in New Zealand has made major change on a point system, right? So a skilled migrant category requires 6 points in total to apply for residence, right? Back in the old days, for a master's degree in New Zealand, only gets 5 points. So you need to work for 1 year on a skilled employment paid at medium wage to get residence. Now Immigration New Zealand changed the rule to a master's in New Zealand gets 6 points directly. So you only require a job offer paid at medium wage to gain residence. The beauty of this change is after you finish your masters, let's say if you are coming into New Zealand to study masters in information technology, right? You're one of the best IT person in Philippines and you came to New Zealand to study, you get a job offer straight away after the study, apply for residence, your entire family becomes a residence visa holder in no time. right? So that's an amazing thing, right? So also IT has green list, but there is a wage requirement on green list.
Right,
A lot of people probably won't meet that wage requirement straight away. I think it's around close to $60, which is very hard to gain. However, these changes makes it a bit more easier to gain residence. Right. So SMC is there. There is other 3 or 4 other categories which is going to lead you to residence, which I'll be covering in the podcast later. But I'll be more interested in your other questions as well.
Yeah. Let me just add up on that one as well on so that our audiences could get an idea. Well, if they would going to do express entry in Canada, basically it's also a pointing system, right? They would be assessed on different sets of categories such as education, working experience, and other factors, which is actually really hard.
Yeah.
However, if you study in New Zealand, you get 6 points. Then Sir Anosh is already there. He will going to assist you in applying for a residency. Now, this comes with my next question. How will you be able to assist our students that will be studying masters after they graduated to apply for residency? I'm sorry.
See, we follow a process called initial assessment on your profile.
Right.
So this assessment is done before you study by straightforward education in terms of education point of view. However, once you finish your study, that's where I come into the picture, right? Once you finish the course, come to our Auckland office or set up a an online session with me. Then I'll go through your profile, do an initial assessment on what you need to do to gain residence, or if you are already eligible to apply for residence. These 2 set of initial assessment will be done free of cost. No charges will be there, but we'll do a free initial assessment. However, sometimes people may come and ask me how to do an application. That's not an initial assessment. That's a proper advice.
Yeah.
We can't really advise on that because we'll be responsible for the entire application as per the law. However, if you come to us for an initial assessment, we are more than happy to review your profile, your partner's profile, and understand how to gain residence for you and your family. That's something which we love to do. Also, you can come into Auckland office, which is a shared office of straightforward education and immigration visa network. We'll be more than happy to sit down for a quick 20-minute session.
Right. Yeah. Do you have also questions, Ray, about anything in general to migration?
Yeah. Well, just going back to that point for assessing the applicants, do you also include that assisting them in assessing the current level of education, helping them get the necessary assessment by NZQA? Because I know that's going to be relevant even when they apply later on.
We do.
Employers,
We
right?
do.
Yeah.
Because see, NZQA assessment is an individual bodies assessment, which we don't really have any action on that. However, we can guide them into that, what kind of assessment we require to take. Also, if they have an overseas degree, do they require an assessment? Because sometimes European people won't even need to spend money on that.
Correct.
right?
Right.
So it's more likely to be understanding how to prepare themselves towards gaining residence. So if you come to our office, we are equipped to do that in less than 10 to 15 minutes. We do have a set of checklist which we usually do to process those initial assessment. Anyone in not just straightforward education clients, anyone in Philippines, any Filipinos in New Zealand, just come to our office, happy to support.
I know this is something many of the students I always get to speak with always ask. Do you also help in assessing if they can qualify, the qualification here can qualify for a registration in entering a registration in New Zealand?
We can up to a certain point.
Yeah.
For example, if there is a primary teacher in Philippines
Yes, our teacher, for example.
who wants to be registered in New Zealand, see, at the end of the day, we can only say your qualification may meet the requirements of Teaching Council of New Zealand, right? However, it is up to Teaching Council to review those files, review those documents, and provide them with a registration. However, we can guide them through the process. But at the same time, we are not the decision makers, so we have to be a third party there and just guide them towards how to gain registration.
Registration.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
All right. Well, speaking of registrations, so Ray, a lot of Filipino applicants right now is worried about the high cost of studying in New Zealand. Could you tell us
A bit more on the cost.
a bit more about the cost and why do you think it is worth it to invest?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think if you compare different study destinations, well, some institutions will be more affordable than others. Even regardless of the country, some institutions it's sometimes an outlier in certain study destinations.
Correct.
But if you look at the average cost that universities charges in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, many of the fees are not really that far apart. But if we look at the proof of funds that you need to show when you study, it's also relatively similar. I mean, Canada, as of right now, requires about, is it 20,000 New Zealand dollars?
22,895.
Yeah.
So around
22,000
1.6 to 1.8 million.
pesos, and New Zealand requires 20,000 New Zealand dollars. That's only roughly 700,000 pesos in a single year. So in the proof of funds alone, we can see a lot of similarities that these countries have. And in terms of the education, if you go for university, definitely compare to the universities as well. In other study destinations, those would be around a similar range.
Right.
And depends as well on the ranking of the university. But there are also polytechnics, there are private training establishments. Some of these could go for as low as 20 to 30,000 New Zealand dollars in a year. And even for masters, we have some institutions that has programs as low as 30,000 to 35,000 New Zealand dollars per year, and sometimes the program's just 1 year. So
Do they offer bursaries or scholarship as well?
they do. Actually, we also have a lot of scholarships for Southeast Asian students. They users really trying to attract a bit more as well of Southeast Asian applicants. So as long as you apply timely and you inquire early and you meet the deadlines for applying for the scholarships, some universities give up to 7,000, 10,000, even full scholarship in really good students. There may be a few slots for that, but it's very competitive. But the average that many students are able to get, some of our partners give 5 to 7 to 10,000 New Zealand
I've even
dollars.
seen a $12,000 scholarship a couple of
Yeah.
weeks ago.
Right.
See, I strongly disagree with the fact that people say New Zealand is very expensive to study. You can drive a Tesla, you can drive a Hyundai. It just depends on what car you want to drive, right? In New Zealand, there are private institutions which are cheaper. There are universities which may be a little bit expensive, but all it takes is to understand which one is the cheapest course you can take. If you have the money, it doesn't really matter. But if you are really short of money, talk to Jay. He will always give you the best
Yeah.
and cheapest options.
I'm not going to give them financials, but we can give advice. Alright. Well, relating to the things that you have said earlier, Sir Ray, any tips on choosing the programs that you can take as well?
Go to Jay and ask him for a consultation if it helps you, and I'll help him when he asks me for any priorities. But really, it because if you already have a location in mind, and we can give you the options and the partners that we have for that particular location. But if you're open to studying anywhere in New Zealand, we work with most of the institutions. There's a lot of options, to be honest. Depends as well on your career aspirations. Of course, some courses will be more expensive than others. But if you really want to get to know the breakdown, the advantage as well of New Zealand with other study destinations, the study is a lot shorter. Bachelor's degree can be as short as 3 years. Master can be as short as 1 year. If you study in other study destinations, those are usually masters is usually gonna take them 2 years. Unless I study in the UK, but then if you're gonna compare New Zealand with UK, then the prices would definitely be also tough to justify on the UK side. And for bachelor's degree, even the US, if you study in the US, it will take you 4 years. Even in Canada, study a bachelor's 4 years. So these options are available as well for New Zealand. And what I've always noticed is many of the courses that New Zealand offers really leads to a registration or practice. Some of the other countries are a bit more stricter when it comes to that. We don't even get a lot of inquiries as well for applicants looking to get registration because they already know it's a bit harder to do that in many of the other study destinations. It's possible, but it's very tricky and very select list of.
It takes 10 years.
Okay. Well, speaking of strict policies right now happening to other destinations, so Anosh, could you share about what are the most common reasons why students get rejected if they apply for student visa in New Zealand?
See, most of the students get a rejection based on financial documents, right? So these are one of the biggest reasons for a rejection in New Zealand. If you are not having a mature funds, if you don't have the source towards the fund which you produce to Immigration New Zealand, immigration can decline your application, right? So it is a lot of assessment required area. When you produce your documents, you will go through each and every document, understand if an officer can verify the source, if the source is genuine, if it's meeting the instructions of Immigration New Zealand, then you're good to go, right? Otherwise, if you are lending money from a loan shark or if you're lending money from a friend and just putting the money into your account and showing it to immigration, I've got money, right? It doesn't really lead to a visa, right? Just having money doesn't lead to a visa, but having a genuine fund in your account, which is mature, will lead to a visa. Then also bona fide, which is genuine intentions, right? For example, you are a nurse, you want to study IT all of a sudden. All of a sudden, you just want to throw your nursing uniform and you want to be a tech guy, right? So immigration may raise concerns. Not always, but if you don't really have a good statement of purpose or a reason why you're changing your career, immigration may still reject your application. So always make sure you understand that immigration follows a two-step process in assessing your application and understanding if you are a bona fide applicant, and also if you rest of the document which you produce is meeting the requirements. Number 3 is providing fake documents, hiding information. So these are two areas which a lot of inexperienced agents does. So if you go to an inexperienced agent, you say, "Oh, you have a Canada visa decline." Don't show it. It's okay. It's okay. Just hide it, right? So one thing you need to understand is immigration in New Zealand can understand, can find out if you have a visa decline. The moment they find out, your application will be on higher risk. For example, immigration given you a visa, right? Now you apply for another visa or residence in New Zealand. Immigration finds out, oh, this guy hidden those information in the first application. Now, right? So now what happens is immigration will issue a PPR letter saying you have misled immigration New Zealand. Now we may reject your application. Right? So always be truthful with immigration New Zealand. Because you can't really hide anything with them because they can access all this information, and at the same time understand that if an agent tells you to hide information, stop talking to them. That's the best thing you can do.
There's something, there might not be any issue, but now you have a character issue because you hit something.
It's an unnecessary issue which you wanna take on your shoulder. If someone, it's just like asking you to steal. Don't do anything stupid. Always follow your mind and follow your right intentions. You'll be good to go.
Okay. All right. Well, the Philippine market basically is a migration-driven market. Okay, meaning if they would like to study abroad, they are considering their families to come with them. Now, why do you think New Zealand is the best destination if they are bringing a family with them or they are into a mature age already?
See, New Zealand has options, much more relaxed options for bringing their family along with them. I think I covered it over a couple of times now. So if you're studying master's degree, you can bring your family, which is your partner, your children, along with you. Your children can actually access schools for free.
Right.
You don't need to pay. Right. So also your partner can work full time. He can do work any hours as he wants. Work multiple employment, do Uber, so you can do anything which is legal. But yeah, so New Zealand immigration has a much more relaxed way of supporting the student in New Zealand, so you can bring your partner, children, and settle down together. I think New Zealand is countries. If you have a family, I would highly recommend, because also the costing. So for a student visa to bring your partner into New Zealand, you only need to show $4,200 in your account.
Right.
Right? When it comes to other countries, because I'm not an expert of Australia or UK or Canada. However, what I believe is they have a higher requirement for money, right? As a deposit. Also they need to take specific courses, not just any course. So in New Zealand, you can take masters, you can take level 7 bachelors, which falls under green list for a work visa. Any course for a visitor visa, there's nothing stopping you from visitor visa. So always, it's a best country if you have family. Absolutely, highly recommend.
If I'll also add on that, when comparing other study destinations for families, because we already know the limitations right now for Canada, you really have to study a master's unless you're both willing to study for an undergrad program. For Australia, well, you can bring your partner and your kids, but the tuition fee is not free for the kids. Unlike New Zealand, your kids can study for free. And actually, one of our case with Jay had a kid, I believe. When they realized that their kid could study for free, they decided to study and go with their kid. So now their kid is brother already about to come to New Zealand. So that type of advantage, I think it's unique to New Zealand right now. Even if I compare it with some of our other study destinations in Europe, I mean, it's a good study destination still. But in terms of bringing your family independence, either you have to wait until you get your residence permit, and even by the time you could bring them, they might not have any work rights unless they find a work visa or an employer that's going to willing to sponsor them for a work visa.
Correct.
So you might be able to bring them with you, but do they have that same type of work rights and benefits that someone who would be studying in New Zealand would have? So right now, at least with the policies that's in place, I would say New Zealand doesn't have an advantage for that.
Can I add an example to it?
Yeah, sure.
So I have a case. This is one of my clients. So she was coming into New Zealand to study Bachelor of Nursing, right? So on her first year, the entire family got residence. Do you know how? The supporting partner, he was an IT guy.
Okay.
So he got a job offer from an IT company. He worked for 1 year. So 1 year, he got a master's, overseas master's. Got 5 points. 1 year experience, got one more point. Easy resident.
Right.
So right now she's studying as a local student. So he's not even paying international student fees, right? So this type of situations happen. If your partner is highly skilled, your family may get into residence even quicker
Yeah.
while you're studying.
That's right.
So like a double-edged opportunity.
Yeah,
So it's not only the student who is going to build the pathway.
They have more chances of winning because
More chances.
it's kind of two people going for hunting.
yeah. Whoever gets one,
Yeah.
everyone's.
Bring the feast.
Okay. Well, speaking of education, Sir Ray, is there any deposit or tuition fee that has to be paid in New Zealand to apply for a visa? Can you tell me about? Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. Well, the different organizations would have their own different requirements. Some of it is, like in New Zealand, it's actually not the school's policy when it comes to the payment. It's more of the Immigration New Zealand's policy for the payment. But the advantage is for New Zealand, you don't have, most of the schools we work with don't have application fees. They don't require initial deposits as well for the students. You can already start your visa lodgement even before you pay your tuition fees, actually. But if you can't pay for it, then you want to, why not?
Yeah, of course, that's actually very helpful because if you're going to compare it to Australia, you have to pay a deposit or a first semester tuition fees. In Canada now, it's a deposit as well and first year, but if you would like to get higher chances of approval, you have to pay your 1 year tuition fees. So I think it's really reassuring for the students that they would only be paying their tuition fees once their visa is approved.
Approved in principle.
Approved in
in
principle.
principle.
Correct. All right.
And if I can add as well, so I forgot to mention this earlier, and not countries usually don't have an age limit in place when it comes to studying. Canada doesn't have one. As long as you can get your visa approved, it should be fine, and you can explain why you want to study. Australia doesn't have an age limit for studying, but if you want to apply for an 485 visa later on, you have to be I believe below the age of 35. I'm also not an immigration expert for Australia. But for New Zealand, you can be up to the age of 55 by the time you apply for the residence pathway. It's not actually the student pathway. So if you really want to study, even if you're over 55, you can. But just keep in mind for the residence pathway, 55 is
The cutoff.
Yeah, the cutoff.
New Zealand doesn't discriminate people by age, race, or language, nothing. So basically, anyone can study in New Zealand, no problem at all.
How old is your oldest approval?
Close to 40s. Yeah. But when I was a student, I used to study with a person who is 53.
Wow.
Oh, he was a good student too.
How old is your
51. That's Miss Marisa. Yeah, she's basically studied first psychology.
Yeah.
Then unfortunately, she was not able to finish the program.
Oh,
And
right.
then she's already 51, and then she had considered studying in New Zealand. Now she's taking bachelor's. And guess what? 10 days approved technically. So.
Wow.
For those people, for our audiences who are worrying about the age limit, if you are around 40 or 50s, no, it doesn't stop you to pursue your dreams of studying. Okay, so
it's never too late.
it's never too late actually. So
Never like to upscale, learn
correct.
something new.
And of course, if they are considering immigration pathways as well, they must be able to start as soon as possible. Because once you hit 55 years old, then unfortunately, immigration opportunities would be closing for them. So
Well, it's only for the principal applicant. So
Yeah.
maybe if their partner is a bit younger and has time,
Do the jungle.
they also have that option.
I have a question though.
Yeah.
What if the spouse is already 60 years old,
Mhm.
and then the student is just let's say 40 years old.
That's okay.
How will the spouse transition to become a permanent resident as well?
See, spouse is a secondary applicant.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't get affected at all.
Okay.
No, it should
So as long as the principal applicant is under 55 or at 55, good to go.
Okay, so you heard it from the immigration expert. There is a chance. So at least the younger ones has to study and then build their
Yeah.
ways to become a permanent resident. Okay. Yeah. Do you guys have something to add as well?
See, a lot of students, especially Filipino students, when I used to do an event last year with Jay, they asked me a very unique question, but most of the people ask the same question.
Right.
How fast I can get residence? So this is, I mean, I had different questions before, but this is pretty much very straightforward question, but hard to answer. How fast I can get residence? I'll give you an example. Right, this bottle of water. How fast can you drink this? Depends on how thirsty you are, right?
Right.
How thirsty you are, right? So residence is the same. If you want to do hard work, if you want to get a right job, you need to be more thirsty. If you're more thirsty, residence will be a bit more easier and easily accessible. But if you are someone who is actually not thirsty enough, it may take a couple of months, couple of years, maybe probably won't even happen.
Okay. Well, the steps should come from themselves at the same time, because
Have to.
the opportunities of working and immigrating will not come to you unless otherwise you do your first step at the same time.
It's not like a lotto.
Okay.
One day you become resident. You
But
need to work
technically,
for it.
if you look at the fastest, assuming you do everything and you have all of the luck in the world, the fastest you can even arrive as a resident.
Yes.
Correct.
The fastest which I have done is in 3 days.
3 days.
Yeah, 3 days.
Well,
But there's a lot of things you have to meet. Okay.
I have processed over 1,500 international students already from different destinations, and I can definitely say that studying in New Zealand right now is the fastest, because all you just need to do is to study the right program, right? And Anosh is there as well, that will going to guide our international students in how they could transition to a residency. Okay. So I think this is the end of our podcast, and thank you so much, Sir Ray and Anosh, for joining us in this meaningful talk, talking about what is happening right now to the market and then immigration opportunities. So yeah, if you are interested to learn more about straightforward education and our services and how we can support you for your pathway to New Zealand, all you just need to do is to send us a message. Okay, or email at info@straightforwardeducation, or you can also find us on Facebook. Once again, thank you, Sir Ray and Anosh, for joining us, and I hope we see you at New Zealand soon. Thanks.
Make New Zealand home.
Yes. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right.